Hello everyone, and here the little Frenchie in Big Texas. Welcome to my channel. So today is a prepping video and it is actually an entry for Bushcraft Family Challenge Prepping on a Budget. So what do I do to prep on a budget? And I would say here is kind of a personal question because it's going to depend on the budget you have and your living conditions as well. Meaning if you live in a city, in an apartment, it's going to be way different than if you live in the country, on a homestead with a large farm, garden, and so on. So you've got different ways to approach it depending on the money you have and your living conditions. But even being in the city, there are ways to prep. So if I look at what we do, because we live both myself in the city and we are building the homestead. So we have both aspects here. So the first thing I would recommend, number one, if you have the space, start a garden. Start a garden, grow your vegetables. And that's not as easy as it looks. I tried here in my city garden and the success rate was actually very low this year. It was just too hot. I had some pests, insects that attacked my tomatoes. It produced very little here. So that's something to take into account. It might not be reliable, but if it works, it's a wonderful way to prep on a budget. And here I'm going to show you our wonderful tomatoes from the ranch in the country. We had lots of them, lots and lots of tomatoes. And there are many ways to preserve these tomatoes. I mean, you can can them, you can dehydrate them, freeze dry, which is not on a budget just because of the cost of the freeze dryer to start. But once you have it, it's wonderful. It is wonderful. See, this is a freeze dried tomatoes from the garden. So I love it. But as I said, it's a steep cost to start, so I would not put it on a prepping on a budget thing. Also, when you buy it online nowadays, August Farm, which has the basic freeze-dried veggies and fruits, is becoming more and more expensive. So at the end, depending on how much you want to buy, you might want to invest in the machine. But anyway, that's just one way to preserve. You can still dehydrate. Cost of a dehydrator is much cheaper. You can find a decent one for $120, maybe $150 now. That was 3 years ago, so maybe it increased, but you can still find a decent dehydrator and you can just use your mason jars. I mean, can them. Here I did some fermentation, another great way to preserve while keeping all the vitamins. So garden is the number one, and my tomatoes are just an example here. But that would be the first thing to prep on a budget, because at the end, if the garden works with a lot of hard work and a lot of water, in the current Texas heat at least, what you really need to have is some heirloom seeds. Seeds that are gonna produce this year, and then you can keep them again for next year. And here are some of the seeds we saved this year. Just a few examples. Here you will recognize watermelon, but we also had a very big and nice cantaloupe, heirloom, so we saved the seeds, as well as a huge zucchini. So we saved the seeds of that zucchini. I made a whole video on it, so if you want to check it out, I will put the link right there on the top of the screen. So another way to prep on a budget here is to grow your own meat. Starting with the chickens here. Look at these adorable little chicks, huh? But I know what you're gonna say. Well, what if I live in the city, in an apartment, or in an HOA, and I cannot have chickens? Very true, that can happen. I have a few options here for you. What if, okay, you cannot have chickens, but have you considered rabbits? I mean, most places accept rabbits, it's a pet. So yes, of course you cannot raise 50 meat rabbits, but maybe a few. Especially if you've got an outdoor space, a patio, a small garden, you might be able to have a few cages with meat rabbits. So that could be an option. Another option I want to share with you is another kind of bird that is technically not a chicken. And here is another option. Yes, very small eggs. These are quails. And technically, they are not chicken. They hatch much quicker. They grow much faster. In about 8 weeks, you have a fully grown bird here. And they stink a bit, I have to recognize, but they should be easy to raise in a cage, in a garage even. So that's something as well to consider. If you cannot have chickens, I understand. Think about the quails. But what if you don't have a garden? And what if what you need to prep cannot be, it's not just all about vegetable and fruits, right? So what I would recommend here, and what I do, is I really monitor the deals at my local stores. So I've got the chance to live in a city, and some of you might live in a city in an apartment, so you don't have the garden, but you might have the choice in terms of stores, which gives you also an ability to choose where you have the best deals. So I would really monitor these deals. Usually you have some weekly deals in most stores. Kroger, they call it weekly digital deals. H-E-B are their weekly coupons. It's gonna depend, but most of them have it. And I would keep up with all these and get them in advance. They usually start on Wednesday and they advertise Wednesday morning. Look at it early so that if it's a deal you're interested in, something you use, because you don't want to buy something you don't normally use. So if it's something you use and that can keep long term, just go and get it quick. First or second day of the deal. Don't wait up to the weekend, because most likely the shelves will be empty and all the items gone. So I do recommend this. I do it, and a good example of that was a few weeks ago, H-E-B pasta. And as you know, pasta is not that easy to find everywhere, and it's increased a lot in price. And this one was reduced to $1, and you had the coupon, buy one, get one free. So at the end, it was 50 cents for the bag. Pretty good deal, right? I got as much as I could. And what can you do with this pasta? You can dry can, or what I did here, I vacuum sealed. And you can still keep it here for a bit. Expiration date was 2024, which is not bad. But I'm always afraid of the bugs here, so I like to use mason jar. It's probably the safest way to preserve your food. But watch out for these deals, because that was definitely a great one for me who loves pasta. But you've got other deals every week. The following week, they had one on the pasta sauce, for instance. Kroger had one 2 weeks ago on milk. So I like to freeze dry the milk, for instance, to make it a powder. Just watch out for these deals, and when you see half off, just go and get it and get as much as you can. So Kroger, it's limited to 5 for their digital deals, but H-E-B here did not have a limit. So the limit was really what was on the shelf. So depending on the day you went, at the end of the weekend, it was really gone. But watch out, the deals, the coupons, see what can keep long term, and of course what you eat. Buy things you eat. And besides food, which is extremely important, do the same with the other items. Let's say, for instance, you need batteries. We all need flashlight and batteries. Watch out for these deals as well. I usually wait until they're on sale at my local warehouse, for instance. And when it's $4 off the big pack at Costco, I go and get a few. So it means you need to organize what you buy and when you buy it, and wait for the deals if you can. But I would really recommend to do that, because this is how I do it and how I manage to save money on some of my preps. So I hope you found this useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and watch the other videos for this challenge, because I am sure we all have different advices and different approach, and we can all learn from each other. Thank you, Bushcraft family, for this opportunity. Link to his channel will be in the description below. Thank you all for watching.